Welcome back to Montreal and Vancouver as we get to the headliner with Scott Oake once again. Scott.
Ron, any team with a top 5 draft pick seems to fancy a franchise player, and the Canucks think they got 2 last June in Daniel and Henrik Sedin of Sweden. They won't be here for a year, but the anticipation is such the Canucks are being described as a team in transition until the Sedins get to Vancouver.
Vancouver Canucks are very proud to select from Ornskoldsvik, Team Moto of the Swedish Elite League, Daniel and Henrik Sedin.
The Vancouver Canucks offered their fans a future last June when they pulled off a series of deals to draft the Sedin twins. A compelling story. 2 kids from nowhere make it to the big time, gaining instant celebrity. But the story is on hold. This is the city that has the heart of the future of the Vancouver Canucks. Daniel and Henrik Sedin grew up here in Ornskoldsvik in northern Sweden. This picturesque city has everything the Sedins need: friends, family, and fame. The twins are the backbone of the best hockey team in the country. They're the hottest ticket in town, and they're in no hurry to leave. Game day in Ornskoldsvik. Leading the charge for Modo are arguably the 2 best prospects in the world, not currently in the NHL.
I can describe Henrik. He's a good passer and good defense. He's a really good scorer and a great skater.
Anders Mylander discovered the twins 5 years ago. He's coached and watched many of his country's very best players.
I think they have the quality to go to the top 10 in NHL. That's my opinion.
First impressions can be lasting. One of Modo's 2 imports is Canadian defenseman Francois Bouchard.
They're very strong players. They have the size and the ability to play well in the NHL. And the fact that they've been playing together all their life, I mean, it's obvious out there that they know where everybody is on the ice and they can give a pass to each other without looking. And it's pretty fantastic to watch them play.
The Sedin boys fashioned their game in Sweden's leading hockey town, where you had to be tough to play. Until the age of 13, they played nearly all of their hockey on this outdoor rink in Järvet, just outside the city. Temperatures often reached -20. At one time or another, many of the country's leading hockey heroes played here, including superstar Peter Forsberg.
Very cold. It was an outdoor rink, but it was fun, really fun.
What would a day be like there when you went to play?
Well, we were going there after school at 5 o'clock in the afternoon maybe, and practicing 1.5 hours, and maybe stay there the whole night.
As kids, the Sedins never thought much of hockey past their own city. Their heroes were not NHL players, but local stars for Modo, like Forsberg.
We played soccer for 3 years ago, until 3 years ago, so before that we didn't think at all about NHL.
The NHL was not a consideration for the Sedins this year. To the chagrin of the Canucks, perhaps, the twins were adamant. They'll spend 1 more year in the system that developed them.
The program is like this. In the morning they have 3 practices for hockey, and in the evening or in the afternoon they have everyday practice too. And when the weekend comes, there are 2 games. So there's a lot of practice in this system.
Even at the elite level, the practice culture is ingrained. The Sedins must balance their final year of high school with the demands of Swedish pro hockey.
Of course it's tough. We got chemistry and physics, so it's tough, but it works pretty good.
Do you ever get a full day in school?
Not often. It's maybe 1 or 2 days a year, so it's hard.
It may be part of their culture, but the Sedins tend to show little excitement over their NHL future, even if a superstar comes from their hometown.
When we grew up, it was Peter Forsberg and Marcus Näslund. They played in the elite team here, so maybe they were the idols.
Did you ever talk to Forsberg about the National Hockey League?
No, never.
So did you ever speak to him?
Yeah, but You know, we doesn't talk about NHL. And
There are 11 players from Ornskoldsvik in the NHL. The first to travel the path was Anders Hedberg. We ran into him in the Stockholm airport, and he is not worried about a difficult transition for the Sedins.
They've been able to handle the balance between being perfectly normal 19-year-olds that they turned yesterday in this type of environment, still going to school, having normal friends. I think they're extremely careful and skillful even in that area.
I prefer them to stay another year or two because they aren't physical strength enough to go to NHL. That's my point of view. I should see that they should stay another year here to make more physical training.
There's no question the Sedins are living in an insulated environment in northern Sweden, surrounded by friends and teammates all day long. But these are two stars who've reached the top quickly in their own country, honored last Sunday as the MVPs of last year in the Swedish Elite League. Just one more reason for great expectations when they get to Vancouver. Here's Brian Burke, the first general manager to draft identical twins in the first round of the NHL entry draft. Not sure if there's a category for that. Brian, the day that we watched Modo play, Daniel Sedin scored 2 goals. He was the first star of the game, yet he seemed almost embarrassed that we wanted to talk to him, and ours was the only camera there. He has a 2-goal day in the NHL, and there's about 10 cameras in there. Are you concerned about the transition they have to make when they come here?
No, because we brought them over this summer. They got a taste of the media coverage in Canada this summer when we brought them over in June, and I think they got a real good look at the scrum and the massive interest in them. They also got a good taste of it at the draft in Boston, so I'm not worried about their ability to handle the media. They're both bright, they're both articulate, a little bit shy, but that's fine too.
Now, Canucks fans who've just watched that piece might say, that's great, they're good, but why aren't they here now? How hard did you work to convince them to come?
Not very hard, because they were very honest with us before the draft and during the draft and after the draft that their first choice was to play another year with Modo, and I don't have a problem with that. They'll be a year older, a year bigger. I did try hard to talk them into coming, but I promised there would not be a hard sell, and there wasn't.
All right, Ron, it's a compelling story, and it looks like the Sedins' arrival will be one of the most heralded in recent memory in the NHL.
And guaranteed it makes for a spirited coach's corner. Brian, what do you expect for your team? I know here in Montreal, the media's all over this team as going to miss the playoffs for the second year in this many, and you've obviously had several back-to-back years now where you haven't got it to the postseason. What do you think?
Well, we intend to make the playoffs. That's our goal. We didn't just sit still in the offseason. We acquired Andrew Castles. We're counting on rebound years from Todd Bertuzzi and Alexander McGillney, and we picked up Doug Bodger. We added Stevie Correa. So I think we have changed our team, and our goal is to make the playoffs, and I don't intend to be patient. If this club's not good enough, we'll make some changes.
Vancouver Canucks missing 3 in a row, and Steve Correa is undeniably a great story. 10 points in the preseason, 1 behind the leading scorer in the preseason, Sergei Fedorov. We're back in a moment.